OnePlus Nord is an upper mid-tier phone and OnePlus Nord CE is a mid-tier phone, and they're also priced like that. OnePlus Nord comes with Snapdragon 765G processor and OnePlus Nord CE comes with Snapdragon 750G processor. But in terms of performance, OnePlus Nord CE performs better than OnePlus Nord, and that's because before starting this video, I know the state of this channel is a little confusing to my subscribers right now, and if you're not a subscriber already, click the subscribe button. So it is like that because I'm experimenting little things with the channel. For example, I'm experimenting both English and Malayalam videos with this specific video. So thank you so much for staying with me in this journey, and let's get back into the video. So OnePlus Nord CE, if you're wondering what CE stands for Core Edition. And if I was going to choose a phone between OnePlus Nord CE and OnePlus Nord, the first factor that I'll look into will be the display size, so that I'll get to know whether it is comfortable for me or not, right? So the display size of both OnePlus Nord and OnePlus Nord CE are the same. They got a little point difference in the spec sheet, but that's basically it. OnePlus Nord comes at 6.43 inches and OnePlus Nord CE comes at 6.44 inches. And both are having Full HD AMOLED panels, which runs at 90 Hz, which means you'll get the same kind of smoothness on both the phones. And now the next slight difference comes in the pixel density. That too, it won't be visible to our naked eye, it's just on the spec sheet. So OnePlus Nord CE has 410 pixels per inch and OnePlus Nord has 408 pixels per inch. Just a 2 pixels per inch difference. The next important factor to me is battery life. And when it comes to battery life, OnePlus Nord has 4115 mAh battery and OnePlus Nord CE has a 4500 mAh battery. OnePlus Nord comes with Warp Charge 30T and OnePlus Nord CE comes with Warp Charge 30T Plus. And the thing is, I couldn't find a difference between Warp Charge 30T and Warp Charge 30T Plus. On the web, it says both can charge from 0 to 70% in 30 minutes. So what will be the change between them? There must be a change, because without a change, I don't think they'll just give a plus name. So if you guys have an update, put it on the comment section. Next is the big thing, that is the processor. For me, when it comes to mid-tier phones, processor is the most important factor, because processor basically determines how long the phone is going to last. And when it comes to the processors of these two phones, OnePlus Nord has Snapdragon 765G processor and OnePlus Nord CE has a Snapdragon 750G processor. And when we hear the naming, it's obvious that 765 is better than 750, right? But that's where we are wrong, because processor used in the OnePlus Nord CE, that is a Snapdragon 750G, comes with Kirin 570 series CPU. And the flagship processor, that is the Snapdragon 865, uses the CPU from the same family, which means the cores of this processor are based on the ARM Cortex-A77. And when it comes to the OnePlus Nord's case, it has a Snapdragon 765G, and this processor's cores are based on ARM Cortex-A76, which is older than A77. And because of that, the Geekbench scores, Antutu scores, all these kind of benchmark scores are higher for the 750G than the 765G, which means OnePlus Nord CE, the mid-tier phone, will have a better CPU performance than the upper mid-tier OnePlus Nord. Now when it comes to the graphical performance or the GPU side, OnePlus Nord has Adreno 620 and OnePlus Nord CE has Adreno 619. And just like the name, 620 is better than 619. Which means when it comes to CPU performance, OnePlus Nord CE is better, and when it comes to graphical performance or GPU performance, OnePlus Nord is better. Now coming to the camera department, OnePlus Nord has 4 rear cameras and OnePlus Nord CE only has 3 rear cameras. The main sensor of the OnePlus Nord's camera is a Sony IMX586 sensor, and OnePlus has specifically mentioned that, and it is 48 megapixels. But when it comes to the OnePlus Nord CE's camera, the main sensor is 64 megapixels and OnePlus didn't specify any specific sensor. So we just know that it is 64 megapixels. The second lens of both the phones are the same. Both are ultra wide lens with a viewing angle of 190 degrees and both comes at 8 megapixels. The rest of the lenses are different, and because of that I'm not really comparing them. And for your information, OnePlus Nord has 2 extra cameras, and that is a depth lens and a macro lens. And OnePlus Nord CE only has 1 more extra camera, and that is a mono lens. And in the rear camera videography side, both phones can shoot 4K at 30 frames per second. And the only slight difference is when it comes to slow motion, because in OnePlus Nord you can shoot 240 frames per second full HD slow motion, but when it comes to the OnePlus Nord CE, you can only shoot 240 frames per second, 720p slow motion. Which means on the OnePlus Nord you can shoot full HD at 240 frames per second, and when it comes to OnePlus Nord CE, you can only shoot HD at 240 frames per second. Now when it comes to the front cameras, we all know that OnePlus Nord has two front cameras and OnePlus Nord CE only has a single front camera. OnePlus Nord has a main sensor and an ultra-wide sensor, and when it comes to the OnePlus Nord CE, it's just the main sensor. Now when it comes to the megapixel count, OnePlus Nord's main sensor has 32 megapixels and OnePlus Nord CE's main sensor only has 16 megapixels. And the second lens of the OnePlus Nord is an ultra-wide sensor. And in the videography department of the front cameras, OnePlus Nord can shoot 4K video at 60 frames per second, and OnePlus Nord CE can only shoot 1080p at 60 frames per second. OnePlus Nord CE also comes with a headphone jack, which the OnePlus Nord doesn't have, and OnePlus Nord CE is lighter than OnePlus Nord. OnePlus Nord CE comes at 170 grams and OnePlus Nord comes at 184 grams. Another specialty of OnePlus Nord CE is that OnePlus Nord CE is the thinnest OnePlus phone since the OnePlus 6T. So OnePlus Nord CE comes at 7.9 mm thickness, and compared to the OnePlus Nord, it comes at 8.2 mm thickness. Rest of the things are same. Both has 5G, both has dual SIMs, both has in-display fingerprint sensor, and both comes in 3 colors, even though the 3 colors are different for each phone. And these are the colors for the phones that are available. And when it comes to the pricing, the OnePlus Nord comes at 25,000 rupees or 24,999, and OnePlus Nord CE comes at 23,000 rupees or 22,999. And these are the base spec pricings, and the base spec goes like, for the OnePlus Nord it is 6GB RAM and 64GB storage, and for the OnePlus Nord CE the base option is 6GB RAM with 128GB storage. That's because 64GB storage is not available for OnePlus Nord CE. And both phones can go up to 12GB RAM and 256GB storage. So I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope this video helped someone who was confused between which OnePlus Nord phone to choose from. So share this video with your friends. Share this with anyone who's planning to buy a OnePlus Nord series phone. And press the like button, press the subscribe button, and see you guys in the next one.